I have a confession to make. Back when I used to drive every day, I sped. I have driven over the speed limit many, many times. I knew it was a crime, and I did it anyway. Now, I want you all to be honest with me. How many of you have gone over the speed limit? Come on now, admit it. That's what I thought. We're all a bunch of hardened criminals. Why am I starting this video by confessing to illegal activity? Because the topic I'm going to talk about today is cheating and online learning. And I want to put all of you in the mindset of a student who might cheat. Going over the speed limit is a minor infraction, and one that almost everyone does. It's terribly easy to justify, but it's still breaking a rule. In fact, a law. And before we delve into the topic of student cheating, I want us to bear in mind that all of us, every person in the right circumstances, can be tempted to break the rules. This is the cheating trifecta, based on the old business psychology idea of the fraud triangle. The same elements that lead to business fraud can lead us to speed on the highway. For example, when it comes to speeding, how many of you have used one of these excuses? I'm in a hurry, I can't be late to work today. That would be need. There's never any police on this road anyway. Opportunity. Everyone is speeding. And rationalization. This framework is useful for understanding rule breaking in a wide variety of contexts. So now let's get specific to students who cheat in online courses. I'm going to address 3 questions. 1, do students cheat in online courses? 2, do students cheat more in online courses than in face-to-face courses? And 3, is there anything we can do about it? So to start off, do students cheat in online courses? Yep, they sure do. There's a wide variety of student cheating happening in online courses through an impressively creative array of methods, and we'll talk about some of those in a minute. There's definitely a perception that digital technology has enabled cheating, so let's move on to question 2. Do students cheat more online than in person? I honestly don't know. There's definitely a perception that they do, but the research on the subject is mixed. When it comes to the cheating that we do know is happening, let's ask the 3rd question. Is there anything we can do about it? Indeed there is. That's part of why I'm excited about the research I did on this topic, because I want to share some of these strategies with you, and hopefully leave you with a few tools under your belt to take forward with you as an educator. Before I started looking at the scholarly research on this subject, I decided to start with some simple web searches. So I searched for things that I thought a student might search for if they were looking for advice on how to cheat in an online course. And I found tons of helpful advice. There's a huge number of places out there where a would-be cheater can find answers. Of course, in most places, when someone would show up and ask about how to cheat, they would also get responses telling them not to cheat, that it's not worth it. I hope you'll be as pleased as I was to learn, of all the online communities I checked, there was one where students were most likely to get the don't cheat answer, and that was Yahoo Answers. Yes, Yahoo Answers, home of dubious spelling and troubling pregnancy questions from teenagers. In every single instance I saw, when someone would show up asking how to cheat, the top voted response was always something along the lines of, "You're only hurting yourself by missing the opportunity to learn." So congratulations, Yahoo Answers. You may be a bit fuzzy on how Babby is formed, but when it comes to academic integrity, you have a strong, consistent moral stance. What kinds of cheating strategies do students find and use? Well, for one, if you give graded quizzes online, they will look up the answers to test bank questions or share test answers among themselves. Then there's a big one, buying papers. This happens a lot. And although this sounds crazy, I believe some people do it. They will give their username and password to a totally different person and pay them to take the course or parts of the course for them. This is by no means a comprehensive list of cheating methods, but these are a few of the big ones. So how much cheating is happening exactly? The research on this subject isn't clear. Some research seems to indicate that there is more cheating in online courses, either because the technology enables it or because of greater psychological distance, that is, students feel further removed from the consequences of their actions. However, some studies contradict this. In one large study of undergraduates in US and Israeli universities, the authors found that there was less cheating in online courses. They explain this by saying that since online courses require greater intrinsic motivation, that is, self-motivation, students with greater intrinsic motivation self-select into online courses, and students who are only after extrinsic motivation, that is, grades, are not motivated enough to take online courses in the first place. I think at this point we just don't have a definitive answer to this question. But here's what's interesting, and what I think we should focus on, is that cheating is not uniform. And what I mean by that is this. In studies where students were asked about their intentions to cheat or not, and in studies asking students about past cheating, a pattern emerges. The exact numbers vary, but the pattern stays the same. There's a small chunk of the student population that will always cheat. Again, it's hard to know what percentage, but as a very rough estimate, let's say 5%. For these students, cheating is the preferred strategy, and they have zero moral qualms about it. They see school as a game, and if they can find a lower effort way to get an A, well, an A's an A, isn't it? Then there's a group, let's estimate it at 25%, who will never cheat. They will not do it. They think it's wrong, or they're scared of getting caught, or some combination, but they would rather fail than cheat. You do not have to worry about these folks. Then there's the rest, the maybe cheats. These folks don't prefer cheating. They don't go into a course looking for a way to cheat. But if they have the opportunity, need, and justification that we talked about earlier, they will. Now, at first this may seem disheartening. You may be saying, what the heck? 75% of students are cheaters? But I consider this good news. It means that the significant majority of students are reachable, they're persuadable, and they're open to your influence. They don't want to cheat, and you can do things that will make an impact on whether or not they will. Which brings us to point 3. Is there anything we can do about it? Let's go back to the cheating trifecta for a moment. These 3 elements that are necessary for cheating to happen are also the clue as to what to do about it. Opportunity is the one that the technological anti-cheating efforts focus on. Blackboard and other edtech companies are developing high-tech identity verification systems to try and prevent cheating. But to me, these solutions are aimed at the always cheats, and it feels like that's missing the point somewhat. There are better tools that we can use to guide the maybe cheats, and they don't require a retina scan or a trillion-word corpus analysis. The 2 most vulnerable areas for cheating are online 4-credit quizzes and plagiarism in papers, but there's no law saying we have to stick to these 2 types of assessments. Here are a few ideas from the research for how to craft assessments that are less vulnerable to cheating. You can give assignments that encourage creative and original work rather than formulaic answers. You can require students to relate the subject matter to their own personal, professional, or life experiences. You can focus on process along with the final product, using drafts, outlines, and planning stages. And you can give students the opportunity to find a genuine audience. Projects that are public and/or peer-reviewed within the class encourage better work. Need is a huge motivator in the decision to be academically dishonest. Students who get overwhelmed, who fear failure, and/or who cannot financially afford the consequences of failing or dropping out are strongly motivated to cheat. So what can we do to help reduce these pressing needs? Universal Design for Learning principles can help us here. Helping ESL students, identified by some as a significant population who resort to need-based cheating, can be very beneficial. We can also use scaffolding built into the syllabus to guide student progress. We can model time management and steps to completion. And finally, we can encourage, as many instructors already do, students to seek help and find resources when they need it. You can find out more about Universal Design principles in the resources link at the bottom of this video. Finally, rationalization is where psychological distance and teacher presence come into play. As one researcher puts it, the increased psychological distance between the dishonest act and its significance, between teacher and student, allows room for people to get away with dishonest behavior. It creates psychological distance that allows people to relax their moral standard. In fact, I found an interview with one cheating student who anonymously said, "The university has put so little into the security of the course that it can't be very serious about whether the online students are learning anything." Students can tell how much you care about cheating, and they can tell how much presence you're putting into the course. You can provide an honor code and even ask for student input about what the honor code should consist of. Show that you're a real person who cares about the course and cares about student outcomes, and students will be more likely to care too. So remember, the vast majority of your students want to be honest, and your pedagogical choices can help them get there. For more resources on this topic, check out the accompanying webpage linked in the description below.